Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
You have been through a lot in 9 years, and I'm very proud of you.
The protector of Central City has been running for 9 years, and all the paths that he's taken are about to converge into one last moment.
The whole timeline will be at stake.
Join the Justice League of Superhosts as they keep up with The Flash and share his journey to the final run. Welcome to Tomorrow's Legends and their coverage of the final season of The Flash.
Well, hello there, Speed Demons. Yes, we're going with Speed Demons. I am making an executive decision on that one here because there's still a tie on the Facebook group page with Central City Citizens. But when I looked at who voted on which, I'm making my decision because the listeners that chose Speed Demons were all frequent feedbackers. And I thought, you know what? Since they're always being part of the show, let's give it to them. Let's give them the slight edge in the victory. I thought that was a fair call to make. Speed Demons it is. We now have a name for our group. And I am The Flash.
I am standing at the bar waving while everyone else is dancing. The Silver Fox.
And I'm just over here singing I Love a Rainy Night. Of course, 11.
Okay, you guys outdid me on the humor that time. Holy.
More time to think about it.
I'd be dancing like Snow. She was doing the typical 80s white boy dance, the left to right, left to right. That's what I'd be doing. So
Yeah.
I am not a dancer nor a singer. All right, we got some news. Let's do news tonight.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
So we are less than a month out from Superman and Lois, and we got a new trailer this week. It's posted in our Facebook group, and it really has me pumped for this season. I'm really excited about what they gave us, and they gave us a new poster this week, which I just posted in the group today, featuring the new fortress. So I'm just really excited about what they're going to do and the stories that they're going to bring in this season.
Yes, I am too. Like, they're really, really amping it up. This is going to be a big season of excitement. And have you noticed, especially in this newest trailer, they're really trying to put the new Jonathan front and center. Like, they're zooming right up on him, and Clark's like, as long as we're a family, and you see his face. It's like, why are they doing that?
They really want us to connect.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. Right off the bat.
Yeah.
But it does look good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it does. And the next piece of news is we got some more casting news for this season of The Flash. We have Teddy Sears back as Zoom and John Wesley Shipp back as Jay Garrick this season. So
wow,
we're stacking them up.
Yeah,
we're adding in the stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
When are they?
Carlos.
Yeah, I really want Carlos back too. So
Tom.
You think they would save that one for a surprise though? Like not announce it?
Yeah.
But when are they get? They've announced all these great big comebacks, and we're 2 episodes in now, and we haven't seen one of them yet. So I hope they're not saving them for like the big finale, and everybody gets 5 seconds of screen time.
Yeah, I don't know. I know episode 9 Danielle directed, and there's a shot of her on set with, full on Diggle and full on Arrow.
Ooh.
And and Barry, everybody's all in costumes. So I know that at least in episode 9, we know that those two are going to be in there. So, but yeah.
It's still, bringing back characters from season 2, like Teddy Sears, that's going to be fantastic because that was one of their better seasons. So
yeah, 1 and 2, so good.
Yeah. All right. Well, is that all we got for news this week?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get into our overall ratings and impressions for tonight.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right, kick us off, X-Force.
Okay, I'm going to be the blue beacon of hope in this episode because I'm at the top end of the ratings here. I gave this one 8.5 choices to live.
Okay.
So this episode had a lot going on, and we had the B story of the rogues and Pied Piper, but the bulk of the story centered around Snow, or should I say Khione, and honestly, I will miss Caitlyn and Frost, but Khione's personality and nature are drawing me in, and I honestly think she has powers. She says she feels connected with nature, and I think the weather changed when she felt safe and was secured in who she was. And so I'm just curious to see if they go there with her having some type of control over the weather. But it also looks like they're pushing Mark to the rogues, and I'm also very curious about how the Flash disgraced Red Death and when it happened. So I liked a lot of aspects of this episode, and that's why I rated it so high.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Silvervox, you're kind of playing the neutral ground here.
Yeah. So I give it 7.5 rounds of playing God. It really disturbed me that there were, the implications of them creating this Snow, and I understand it was Caitlyn's desire, but there didn't seem to be any kind of consequences for Mark basically disintegrating Caitlyn in this process. And I had a really hard time with how all that was handled. Barry was really mad, and then he wasn't. And they just sort of seemed to sweep it under the rug in terms of what this process created. Again, not resolving Cecile and Joe and kind of where they're going, and at least they talked about it, but they didn't come to any resolution. It's like, how long are we going to keep this rolling out? So that was a point deduction for me, and not really thrilled with the android or woman baby or whatever you want to call Khione, whatever she is. I'm not satisfied with that being apparently for the rest of the season what we're going to get from Danielle. I did like the progression on Red Death, just like what Jeff was saying, and I appreciated the pause or slowing things down of Chester and Allegra and them kind of resetting, and so that was a positive for me. But big points for me on Barry and Iris working on this problem together, their chemistry staying high, and how they continued on from the premiere in that vein. So as long as we can keep those two on the same plane with whatever we're dealing with, that's going to be a big plus for me.
Cool.
Okay,
good points.
Well, it looks like I'm the low ball tonight. I guess I'm wearing my yellow suit for this one. It's only getting a 6 snowflakes falling on this one for me. I really had high hopes Flash was going to go strong all season with as little time as they have and not falter, but sadly for me, this one is just another run-of-the-mill, we're tired and have no creative juices left type of episode. To put it plainly, it was boring. I really couldn't care less or any less for the villain of this week, this whatever violin person that she was, nor the Hartley storyline. There's just nothing there for me. The only thing that was almost watchable was the new Snow character and seeing how Danielle was going to try and play something new, and she did all right. I liked her performance of trying to find a middle character that wasn't Frost and wasn't Caitlyn. So she did okay. I also like the underlying idea that she is now a real person and should have the right to choose life just like anyone else. But it just didn't hit home emotionally for me, not strong enough. This was kind of a dud in a short season that they just can't afford to have any duds. So I'm hoping through our discussion you guys can maybe turn this one around a little bit for me. We'll see. Let's get into the show.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
All right, now, again, breaking this up was a little challenging. So I've got 2 different sections. I've got a section kind of dealing with Snow and Blaine, Mark and Chilblain and the other section dealing with Team Flash. And then I've got sections talking about Red Death and then Joe and Cecile. But
Okay.
so some of these things kind of go hand in hand. We'll just go for it. But so we get at the very beginning Mark and Snow telling the team that Snow is a blank slate, Caitlyn's dead, and they need to use Flash's energy source. And they say it's to get Caitlyn back, but what they're really wanting to do is get both back. So what are our thoughts here on out of the gate of Mark kind of manipulating the team to get what he wants?
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on what Vox was saying in his opening rating. There is that I was kind of upset with how the team just brushed off rather quickly that Caitlyn's gone. It seemed like they got over that awfully quick. I know they accept that she went into the chamber, or she made the decision, I'm going to go into the chamber, you try to extract Frost from my brain DNA and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that she never came out, and yeah, Barry was a little bit angry, but he didn't do much about it. They just quickly said, oh, okay, you guys figured out a way to save them both. They just bit into it so fast without investigating. It's like, I think they're trusting Blaine a little too early, a little too quickly. So I don't know. I was feeling like, I don't know what the word, icky or uncomfortable with the fact that they're just, I don't know, just that quickly okay with Caitlyn being gone. And I don't know. And I guess the way he came, the way he explained it, that he was trying to save the both of them, I guess because they trust him enough that was enough for them to go, okay, let's try this new process and try to save them both. But I don't know if he actually was trying to save Caitlyn and Frost. I think his ulterior motive was just to get Frost back. That's all he cared about. It was my kind of feeling. But
Yeah.
I think it just bothered me throughout the entire episode that Caitlyn was this. It feels like she was a science project from the very beginning. Right, and it through the work with her father and everything else, it's like, well, we can do this with Caitlyn, or we can create that, or we'll create a sister for her, or we'll create Snow, or we'll do all these, or Frost rather. But I mean, we'll do all these things, and so it didn't really matter what. It's like it didn't matter what Caitlyn's position in it all was. It's like we'll just create another version. It's like, this is a human being. This is a medically trained part of this team, and it's just like, okay, we'll just we'll bring her back, we'll make another one. I felt really flippant about the whole thing, how they were treating it, and it was like there was just no dignity, I think, to the character of Caitlyn in all this, and I think that's what really kind of stood up under me.
And while you were saying all that, it actually made me think she's kind of taking over the Harrison Wells role. We got a new Wells every season.
Yeah.
And now essentially we're on our third Caitlyn.
Yeah. I just felt like this one was done wrong, though. I mean, rather than coming up with a different Harrison, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with you what you're saying about. It's not, what you're saying about her not really having advocacy for herself, because, like, she was a science project for everybody. And I think maybe if we had a flashback or just a reminder this season of her going in and, like, a scene of her saying, I'm giving up so that Frost can be here, or somewhere that she is giving over to that process rather than things being done to her. Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see what they do with her character as it progresses, because she got a fair amount of development in this episode as to, being kind of clueless and, hi, it's me, to all of a sudden by the end of the episode, she's like, no, I have the right to choose to live. I'm going to live, and too bad for you. So where that goes, we'll have to see. Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with, like, the Snow character, but, it was, more the Caitlyn, like, handing the baton over, I think, would have been nice in some way, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, the experiment goes wrong because Mark's trying to pull two of them back, and that's not going to happen with the tech there. And again, I like the fact that they're using Chester to realize that hey, something's going on here. This is not going to work. So kind of filling in that tech role that we had from Cisco, and so I'm glad that they're using him in that. But you get this confrontation here of Mark calling out Barry for stopping the first round of trials, and him saying he can't give up on Frost. And I like the fact in this episode that this has an impact on Barry throughout the episode of him getting called out. He is regretting how he handled that last season.
You're talking about like when Barry went to her apartment and smashed up her experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I was always uncomfortable with that too, because Barry really had no right to do that. He could have talked her down or do something different, but to destroy her apartment, and that's her personal private space, and you came barging in through her door without having her let you in, and then you destroy all of her stuff. I mean, that alone, I think, probably would have ruined their relationship as friends for a very long time, if not for good.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's why the writers decided to write Caitlyn herself off the show, because there was nowhere left for her to fit here. I don't know, but yeah, it was that was an awkward scene, and then for Barry to have to confront it again here was good for Barry. It's good for him to have to think back on that and realize maybe that wasn't the best way to go about it, and he's going to try to do it differently. So I do agree with you on that point.
Yeah, I think basically he's just regretting, and he's blaming himself for Caitlyn's loss, and so that just pushes him to. We see the scene where he goes and to the bar and basically makes Mark part of the team and kind of lays down the ground rules there. I mean, I know he's a regular this season, but did we feel like that's a little too much too soon?
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you guys listen to our season 8 callback, I was really ticked with Barry in terms of how he handled things with Caitlyn's lab and everything. Yeah. But out of this episode, I can say 100% he was justified. 100%. Like, I totally get his reasoning, because it's like, you guys don't have the right to create another being. I don't know. I know I struggle with, yes, this is comic book television. Yes. And so science doesn't have to necessarily make sense. And it is comic book television. Why are you taking it so seriously? But I feel like we're playing around with life and Barry feeling like it's on him as usual. It just doesn't. That part didn't make sense, and yes, bringing Mark on the team, I thought just was not the right call. Other than he just knows about everybody. So what are you going to do with him? So
I guess maybe just trying to rein him in and have some type of control, instead of like it ended up like it did at last season, where so I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough. Like you talk about it's a comic book show, and it's not real science, and how can we bring in real world issues into the drama of this? But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to mix reality with comic book science or comic book TV story writing, and because we talk about cloning in real life, we talk about using stem cells and stuff like that. Like, these are real issues in real life, and people don't want to have clones running around or whatever. So yeah, playing with life, playing with genetics. I mean, dog breeders, cat breeders, they do it all the time. Like, most of the breeds of dogs out there are not natural. They're man-made breeds of dog. and that's us screwing around playing God. And a lot of that stuff I don't agree with. I think we should leave well alone. But so you can kind of bring that into the storyline. But I think with the show, I mean, their intentions were in the right place. They went in. We've got to bring Frost back. Caitlyn wants to bring Frost back. It's her sister, and things went wrong. So now they're scrambling to account for that, and whether we like their reasoning or not. And okay, we got this third person out. Well, that's not good enough. We still got to get Caitlyn back. We still got to get Frost back. Well, yes, that's their desires, but you've got this new living, breathing person that's like, well, I'm not going to sacrifice myself now that I know what life is about. No, I want a chance too. And now you've got the confrontation of, well, which is the right perspective to take? Which one, who has the right rights to life here?
Yeah, and they do explain through the science, and I like that they go back to her dad, and basically Chester says they need a mental map, and they're looking at all this data, and they really determine that Thomas looked at everything and he said, basically, if I do this, I can't go back. I'm going to lose one of the two. And he was more content to have the 2 and 1 rather than to lose one of the two. And, we kind of get Barry facing that choice, and Iris too. I like that they're united on that front of, well, we've already got a third now. Are we going to make her sacrifice herself? It was interesting how they compared their choice with Thomas's choice. So,
yeah.
And I don't want to harp on this too much, but if at the very end of the season finale in season 8, that was clearly Frost's voice that came out of the chamber. I mean, it was clear as day. So for them to come back to this kind of blank slate, I don't know if there's more going on here, and it may just be nothing, but they clearly went for the inflection and tone of Frost. So what does that mean? I don't know. So.
What do you remember? What Caitlyn said? What was the last thing we heard her say coming out of the chamber last season?
I mean, Mark said something like, "Who are you?" and I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something like, "Let's find out," or something like that. But it was clearly Frost, and it was not this Khione. So anyway, I don't know. Yeah,
it's interesting. Like the way Danielle played this part, like I did appreciate her trying to find a middle third character between the two. And I think she did okay. I think she spoke with the sweetness of Caitlyn, like just the sound of her voice, that cute sweetness behind it, but her words, the intentions behind her words were more Frost kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, she was a little more blunt like Frost was, especially, when she was talking with some people. But, that's maybe just she hasn't learned how to, vary those type of things. And we just, like I said, we don't know anything about her. She's just discovering, and that's what part of this season, I guess, is going to be, is discovering who this character is, because we've established that Cecile can't read her, but yet she reads other people very well. Like, she is able to, and we'll get into it, because it's Vox's favorite scene, but she deals with Hartley very well. She reads into other people. So I think how they got to her is not the best execution. I'm interested to see what they do with her.
I wonder if it's not so much that she's reading people well as she's taking people at their very moment and then saying, "Oh, okay, this is who you are."
Yeah.
Right? So
it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Well, again, it's going to be one of those wait and see moments. Like, what do they do with her next? it's going to really determine where I land on enjoying this progression for the new character, or for even Danielle's final season.
Yeah, and what I wonder, what you said, Vox, made me think. I wonder if they ended season 8 with that voice, and maybe the intent was, okay, we're going to bring back Frost, but it's not going to be exactly Frost. And then over the break, the creators sat down with Danielle and said, we've got an opportunity to do, what do you want to do with the character? And the decision was, to do a new character rather than, try to play one or the other. So I wonder if those things went about in the off season and they had to kind of like pivot where they had it sound like Frost to give us that thinking, or if they had that totally planned and this is just not the best execution. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Totally.
So, the interesting thing is the name that Thomas had picked out, the Khione name, is a Greek goddess of snow. And so, I was like, let me go do my searching, to see if it's an actual comic book character, but it's named for a Greek goddess. So,
and that's kind of cool. I mean, Khione, I've never heard of that name before. I'm always one to champion unique names. I love unique names. There's enough. Sorry, John, Jeff, Mark, Martins. There's enough of us in the world. I like unique names that not many people have, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of us.
He's Geoff. He's not.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I'm the original spelling of the word.
Yeah.
Not the Americanized.
But I mean, even like Jennifer's whatever. Like there's just so many of the same name, and it's always based on the years that you're in. That's the popular name for the next 5 years. But it's just, I like unique names. That's just me.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, that's a cool choice.
Yeah.
They give her the decision. She makes a decision that she wants to live. And everybody seems to be okay with that, of course, except Mark. And again, this is where it brought it down for me, because I thought they were really just pushing it over the edge to say, okay, he's going to be a part of the Rogues now because he's not getting what he wants. I thought it was like just too much for me. I thought like, yeah, he's barely been on the team, quote unquote, and now he's so disappointed that he's going to go rogue. I just felt it was a little too quick, because like he knows a lot now. He can give a lot of information to the other rogues.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the timing on it, that's why it brought it down some for me, is just them pushing him that far over the edge that quick.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's like, wow, they didn't even give him a chance. But then I look at where he came from. He was kind of a rogue when we first met him. He wasn't the greatest guy, and it's only Frost that kind of turned him into a nicer guy. So maybe it wasn't that big of a leap for him to just go back to his old ways. Like, he's obviously emotional, and when it's an investment in a partner, someone you love, your emotions kind of get the best of you, and his emotions are not the kindest ones or the nicest ones. They lean towards the more darker side of doing things, and maybe that's just going to be a natural course for him. Maybe he'll get a quick redemption. Maybe he'll just cool off, and the team will help him, and it'll be all okay. But I don't know. I mean, if he turns rogue, is he going to be like because he's got ice powers too, right? So is he just going to be, I might as well be Captain Cold Part 2, right? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, Chillblaine is the name, but yeah, I think, did you feel like that they were trying to contrast him and Hartley in this episode of their decisions of who to be and what to do and what changed them? I felt like they were maybe trying to go for that and showing one side with Hartley and another side with Mark. I don't know. Did y'all kind of feel that they were trying to compare and contrast those two?
Huh.
I think you're giving the writers too much credit. No offense, Kim.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe offhandedly, maybe the intent wasn't there, but I as soon as you said that, I thought, Hartley started as a rogue and turned into a good guy working for the lab. Then he left again. So maybe their stories are even more similar than even contrasting, because that's what Blaine started off as, the bad guy. They kind of got him to lean towards the good side, and now he's going back. I don't know. I guess it depends on what Hartley does, because he's now officially really gone rogue again himself. Right? It's because he was there at the end, at the very end sequence. He's in the same room with Red Death and the violin player. Now there's two of them, and I don't know. I guess that's something we'll have to see as this collection of rogues gathers. What they're really trying to tell us with each individual story as it gets presented to us.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's a point in the notes here I really want to get to, those that the one about who they all choose to live, because I was actually kind of surprised about who was picking who.
Yeah, that played. Playing the, so Mark and Allegra and Iris all chose Frost. Chester chooses Caitlyn, and Barry needs time to decide. Yeah. And so that kind of leaves Snow stuck in the middle. So, yeah, it was kind of surprising that they divided the relationships there of who was choosing who.
So, how do we...
I found the whole conversation pretty disgusting, honestly. I just can't fathom that. I don't know. But for Iris to come out and say, well, look, I chose Frost because I didn't choose her to begin with, and I was like,
that's kind of lame.
we don't have context for that, and that sounds really psychoanalytical, and just like what are we talking about here? Yeah. I can at least get behind Caitlyn or Allegra saying Caitlyn chose to go through with this. She was trying to do this for Frost. I can get behind that. But I don't know. The whole thing was just like, what? Like, I mean, we were deciding what? Anyway.
But for me, like, Caitlyn wasn't deciding to kill herself. She was going back in to pull Frost out of her and still survive. Like, I don't think she was saying, yes, I'm sacrificing myself to bring Frost back. I think she was meaning to pull her out of it and get them both back, wasn't she?
Oh, I totally agree. So the problem was it went wrong. Yeah.
So that's why Allegra's saying, "Oh, this is what Caitlyn wanted." Well, no, Caitlyn didn't want to die. That's why I'm with you. The scene was just uncomfortable because I didn't understand. Mm-hmm. For me, when I stand back from it, I'm like, why would any of them pick Frost other than Mark anyway? Caitlyn's the original character. She's the original human. Frost was put into her, way back when by her dad. Like this is Caitlyn's life that should be there from the beginning. Nobody else should choose anyone but Caitlyn. So that's where I kind of felt like, why would you pick Frost at all, other than Mark? Because for Mark, that's who he met first, and that's who is the one that deserves the life. Only for him, right. Nobody else.
And Chester really made the point about that Frost sacrificed herself, and we bring this up, but Frost sacrificed herself. In order to get rid of Deathstorm or whatever, and that kind of stuff. And we had closure for Frost.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's deal with some of the other aspects of it. So we did get Chester and Allegra, like we said, having a little bit of second thoughts, but more like putting a pause or a slowdown on their relationship. And I agree with you, Vox. I think this is a good thing. I mean, they are new to that relationship. They're awkward. I want to see them succeed, and I don't want to see them go too fast. So I'm glad that they are progressing at a little bit better rate. So
yeah. No, I mean, it makes perfect sense. In the face of death, right? You're expressing your emotions, you're expressing the high of it all, and that's what got them into that position to begin with. But then for Allegra especially to say, yeah, let's deal with the situation at hand, then we can talk about this or whatever. And I don't know. I felt like it was handled very maturely, very well. So yeah, that's where I found it.
Where I agree with this decision is as a show, as the writing for the show, I don't want all of season 9 to be all about relationships. Because we got Barry and Iris, and we got Blaine and Frost, and we got enough with the relationships. Can we just have characters and have stuff happen to them without there being a relationship involved?
Now, Martin, you have to remember that the Flash is the paragon of love. So there shall be love in all different aspects of this show.
So wherever he runs, he's firing little arrows with hearts on them, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So yeah, no. But I mean, this is what we complain about on Legends of Tomorrow too. Was enough with all that. Why does everybody have to be in a relationship? Let's just have a show with characters. They don't all have to ship each other. Like, come on.
If they do it at a decent pace, yeah, so that we get to see progress and not
see it develop.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's what we were missing for a couple seasons, because there was supposed to be a relationship between Barry and Iris, and we weren't seeing it. Yeah. So talking about Barry and Iris, they have to put off their Yellowstone trip to help out, the team here. And, they talk about it, but I really hope that they don't have to postpone every trip or every time together this season in order to solve an issue. I hope that we get just a throwaway line of we get them talking about, yeah, we're going to go to Yellowstone this weekend, but just throwaway lines that don't have to be necessarily throwaway, but we had to, we just got back from, we've seen them speed back from vacations or whatever before, just we had a great time in X, and just so that we're seeing them spending the time away together as well as what we see on screen, so that they're making that a priority.
Be good to see episode 3 open up I don't know, 2 weeks later, a month later, whatever kind of thing. And so you could build in some of that. Not only that, but you could give a little bit more time for the rogues to grow stronger and for this whole Red Death team to keep forming and that type of thing. And you could accomplish some of that off screen. We wouldn't want a ton of it, but at least that would give some natural breathing room into this.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do that, but I agree. It would be nice to say, Yeah,
and I mean, think about it. Last week, you guys heard me make fun of the Flash, how he can run and steal a top secret science object out of a lab, and then it takes him forever to run around the city looking for someone. Well, truthfully, if they would go on vacation, he could leave Iris there. He said, if they're having trouble, I'll be back in a second. And he could run back and deal with it and come back, and for her, it'd be 5 minutes later, and he's already dealt with the problem. So they could still go on holidays.
Yeah, but I think the point is of them spending time together and not being distracted. And I liked the fact that, like we've said in this episode, they worked on things together. They really weren't talking that they were a team. They were a team working together to solve the issue. There wasn't Barry doing his thing and Iris doing her thing. They were a team together. And so I'd like to see them be a team together and build in that relationship with the trips, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm with you. I what we got in the first episode and what we kind of got at the end of this episode, which we might get to somewhere in the notes, that's the fun I want to see them having again, and being a couple and enjoying each other. That's where we need to get to. Yeah,
definitely. So let's talk about the Hartley and the rogues section here, because they kind of go back and forth. So we get a new version of the Fiddler, and I know the actress Magda Aponowitz. She's played in Continuum, Caprica, Kyle XY are the big ones that she had big runs in. And she's playing a new version of the Fiddler. Like we got a new version of Captain Boomerang last week. And we find out very clearly that she is on mission for Red Death, and she's coming after Hartley to get his gauntlets. And so what did we think about the first showdown in the parking lot there?
I mean, the effects were good. It looks like the Flash has got a bit of a budget this season to make things look really good. But the Fiddler, this is where I was a little upset. The Flash's rogue gallery can lean on the silly side quite often, and this is one of the ones that to me is just no. You're standing in the street with a magic violin. It's just not scary to me. It's not intimidating. I mean, yeah, it blasts out sonic booms and she can cause some damage with it, but to me it's just leaning too far on the silly side. I much prefer Hartley's gauntlets. That's more cool tech. That's more cool supervillain type of stuff. He's got to wear these gloves and then he can direct his stuff wherever he wants. So the Fiddler just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, and I was confused because then she had her own kind of canary cry from her own voice. So it was like, what's the deal with the violin?
Right.
I think it's just a channel that she can use.
Okay.
Like, because she used the microphone as a channel, she can use a violin. And we also see the same thing with Hartley, because at the end, Hartley blows up the CRC just using his voice. He doesn't have the gauntlets anymore. So he doesn't necessarily maybe need the gauntlets anymore. They help him harness stuff, but I think they're both can use stuff without tech, but it's just a way to focus stuff. So,
yeah, I don't know. I just continuity. I was like, huh?
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know.
I think the best part of all that was them revealing that she's like sending the crew and Roderick into this kind of vibrating phase, right? Or caught in between reality as we know it in the vibration phase and all that. That to me was interesting. That she's able to do that, and that Flash was able to break through and figure that out, and to see Owen at the same time, and just to see what's happening in kind of that realm, which will then lead into how these rogues are coming together with Red Death and teleporting between here, there, and everywhere, kind of a thing. Is they're moving through these different phases, which he'll be able to penetrate, which is good.
Yeah, I like that. I did not think she was killing those folks. I thought she was somehow transporting them somewhere, not just shifting them out of phase so that they couldn't be seen.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of her using the abilities that she's got to put them out of phase so they're not visible.
Right.
So I like that idea a little bit better than maybe teleporting them.
Yeah.
So.
I'll agree with you guys there. I mean, that was a cool aspect to her ability for sure.
Yeah. So I know we'll talk about the conversation, but Hartley heads over to Star Labs to get patched up, and he's looking for Caitlyn, and of course she's not there, and he kind of fills them in. But then we get the opportunity, and we'll talk about it later because it's a favorite scene, but Snow really talks with him and kind of questions his motives and maybe gets him thinking straight, because he's so caught up in the emotions of trying to save his boyfriend. So this was an interesting conversation between the two of them.
Yeah. I don't even really think she was interested in helping him so much as she was coming to her own self-realization
through talking to him.
That I have a choice to make.
And
there's validity to that. anyway, yeah, we'll get more into it. Hopefully when we play it. But that's how I read it. It wasn't even so much for Hartley's sake as it was for her own. So.
I like that because I think there's value to us talking with folks. Like I've got some accountability partners at church, some guys that I spend time with on a regular basis, and it's not that like we know more than the other person. It's us talking through things and learning by talking through those things.
Right.
How do you learn best? Well, you teach it to others. So like I like your point of her talking to him is her working out her feelings and about who she is in the process.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we get, after the battle scene, we get Captain Boomerang come in and they steal the gauntlets, and they've hooked up the gauntlets along with the power source that he stole last week, and basically they're using it with tech to, it looked like to me that they were stabilizing Red Death and maybe powering her up, but really stabilizing her so that she's just not this blurring figure, but we actually see the full-on costume and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting to see. So that makes sense as to why she was gathering the types of rogues that she was, because their specific abilities is what she needed to get herself back into phase again. So I hope we explore that a little bit more as to what was going on with her.
And how she got it. Yeah, how she got out of phase in the first place.
And again, we keep saying she, but this does not look like a female to me. This is a big, like, very masculine looking body. It's a great big suit of armor and everything, but we just know because we know the actress that is playing the part, but it's still, yeah, I hope there's a little bit of backstory, whether through the villain explaining it to us or we get a flashback or something. I want to dive into that a little more to understand what was going on with that, because
I'm calling episode 4 is going to be the Red Death's backstory.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I don't even know what it's called, but that tends to be what it is, right? We finally get into the mystery of who this person is by that point. So,
episode 4 and 5 are Mask of the Red Death Part 1 and Part 2. So.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Which, I mean, we asked for that right from the beginning, right from our trailer episode. We said we want to know what the story is about the Red Death, because not a lot of people know. Who is that?
Because, I mean, she basically says, her monologuing over the city, that Flash disgraced her, and now the city's going to pay for what he did. And I'm like, when did that happen?
During the 7 days? They're like, where? Yeah, exactly.
Well, and again, from what I remember, the writers are talking about that this ties back to Armageddon, but I'm still stuck in where did that happen and how are we interpreting anything? And I could be completely wrong on that, but that's what I've understood as coming out from Eric Wallace and the creatives. So it's like,
do we have to revisit the Armageddon episodes to see if something happened between Batwoman and Flash?
I don't know. I went through those episodes in detail several times, and I don't recall anything that I would say is, okay, here's the moment that something could be extrapolated from. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
unless it's an alternate timeline, something that we haven't seen yet, and we might get the flashbacks of it in the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, they might. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So crazy.
All right. Well, any other points before we move into the short Joe and Cecile section that we want to cover?
What did you guys think of her suit? Because I just said it's big and it's bulky and it's very metallic, very solid looking. So I was unsure how I felt about it, because every time we've had a new speedster, they try to outdo the last one with some crazy ass fancy suit, and I just don't know if I liked this one or not. It was very Robotech looking, kind of.
I like the mask and I like the logo. I will have to see more a better lit version of the suit rather than a shadowy rooftop before I'm going to say. But yeah, those two aspects I kind of like. But yeah,
well, and I think we need to see what kind of powers she's punching with it.
Yeah,
to say okay if it works as a whole rather than just from appearance. But yeah, I agree. The little wing flap Thor things on the side look a little strange, but but yeah, whatever.
Well, I think where it's bugging me, because what was it I was talking about? I don't know what it is. Everybody is going Iron Man right now, like everything. Oh, it was in our discussion, my discussion about the Black Panther movie, like part 2. Just everybody's going Iron Man, and I don't understand, like, why every single villain has to have an Iron Man-esque suit. A powered up metal suit, and I think I'm just done with it. It's like, no, you've taken that from Tony Stark. Tony was Iron Man. We don't need everybody to have armored suits on every character. And I think that's where I'm getting done with that stealing of Iron Man, the look of Iron Man. That's so cool. We can do it with every character. I mean, even Spider-Man got too much of an armored suit at one point. Like, no, Spider-Man has never worn armor. Don't do that. So that's probably why it's bugging me.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, Joe and Cecile do have a short conversation about the move, and he expresses that he is confident in Cecile, but he's scared about the people who will come after her, and he doesn't want to lose her. And I honestly think he's confident in her, but I think he feels maybe that he's a little out of his depth because he can't protect her. And he thinks maybe, like, this is my reasoning of wanting to move. Like, it's a way for him to have some power and protect her by moving her away from some of the threats. I mean, is that what maybe y'all see? That's kind of what I felt like. Yeah, you're confident, your powers are growing, but I don't want to lose you, and I can't protect you, so let's move. That's kind of how I felt. I don't know.
See, I saw the whole reasoning as faulty. Basically, it's the only thing I think that's going to calm his fears is for her to turn off her powers. Right? It doesn't matter where she moves; she's still going to have these abilities.
Oh, that's
right.
True.
So it invites danger if she's doing this, no matter where she is. So the only reason that I feel like he's going to be quote unquote safe in all this and feel like that she's okay is if she doesn't do it. And her coming back and saying, well, it's either the good of our family or the good of the city. And it's like, well, the city never, okay.
You don't owe the city anything.
Never asked for you to begin with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not bragging on Cecile, but it's just like, the city's not saying we Cecile's the hero. We have to have Cecile, kind of a thing. And so she's bringing all this on herself of saying, I could do good. I could, that I get, but I don't see it as a cry from her followers or her fans or whatever to say we have to have Cecile. It's like, no. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not down with this conversation.
I mean, she doesn't even have a superhero name, so the city doesn't even know about her.
Yeah.
Right? So why does she feel obligated to protect the city? Now, the joke I want to make is if the writers of seasons 4 to 6 were involved, Joe would get superpowers and then everything would be good. Because then he can protect her. Because everybody gets superpowers, right?
Yeah. So I mean, he always had the guns, right? He always had the the way to take all the threats out.
Yeah. But I understand the point that as a man, you want to protect your family, and when you're the only one that doesn't have superpowers, how do you solve this problem? Well, you take your family away. And that gives you a bit of semblance of control, because every man wants to feel like he can protect his family. And when you're the only one that doesn't have superpowers, that's kind of taken away from you. And I think this is just him reacting from that perspective, that he needs to protect his family, and this is the only way he can do it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. They've got some hard choices ahead. Of how this is going to work out and the reasoning. You work out the reasoning, yeah, but you've got to make a decision about, okay, how are you going to move forward as a couple? How are the two of you going to reconcile both of your thoughts and feelings, no matter where they're coming from, and how do you move forward as a couple so that you are together? Because, honestly, I don't want to see them, come apart. I don't want to see that. And so, yeah, they've got some hard choices to make.
There's a difficulty here because just like the Flash was saying, he doesn't want a dud of an episode in 13. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want Jesse L. Martin to be wasted for the limited time that he has in this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I want some serious Joe conversations, and we got a good one last week, so I'm good with that. But if he's going to be here, let's use him to the full extent of who he is, and let's use Jesse L. Martin. Let's not mess around with this weirdness, so and not execute it well. So I'm on a short fuse with how they use Jesse L. Martin. I just am, because he's been a cornerstone of this series, and I don't want him to go out on this kind of useless stuff. So anyway,
totally agree with you. Like, if he is leaving town, then he needs to take every chance he gets to impart his last bits of wisdom to Barry, his son, his adopted son. That, like, I need to give you all the advice I can as you go forward in this new life with Iris, and without me around to help you. So let's do that. Yeah, I would love to have a Joe speech every episode until he's gone. Why not?
And I hate to say it, but like, he's never mentioned in 2049. So, I mean, at some point,
Grandpa
I think
Joe.
they need to address why that is, and I don't know that they're going to take the time to do that. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I want to see happen. Is like, if he's gonna leave the show, leave Earth, leave it all, then let's deal with that in its appropriate context. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to ask you guys about Cecile, like, in every discussion we saw in this episode, when she asked someone a question and she didn't like the answer, she used her powers to feel what they're feeling. And she said, "Hey, wait a second. You're not feeling the way you told me." Like, does that bug you that she does that? Every time she doesn't like an answer she gets, she reads the people. She uses her powers against their choice and then forces them to have to be open about what they're actually thinking. And that actually really bugged me about her in this episode. You guys know?
I don't know that I noticed it to the degree of what you're saying. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I guess I didn't pick up on it in the same way.
Yeah, well, actually, the first two episodes, she does that quite a bit.
Yeah, I chalk it up to she's got nobody there. Like, we saw a training exercise of her training the telekinesis last episode, but she's got really nobody to control, to train her in that. So she is, using it out of her character of who she is. And has she done that the best through all these seasons? No. But I don't know that I would do any better. Like, I don't know if I had those powers and I could read people's emotions, if it would be hard for me not to to read their emotions if we're having a conversation. So I just don't, I don't know of a good way without having a mentor to help her along the way. It's not like she's got a Professor X to mentor her, another telepath or, somebody that deals with emotions that way to mentor her in those abilities, like we've seen Flash do with the other Flash people. So, the Speed people. So I don't know.
Dial up Gorilla Grodd.
and do the exact opposite of what Gorilla Grodd says.
Yes.
Gorilla Grodd.
All right, well, we got something new to talk about. Apparently, we sprung this on everybody last week without it really expressing what was going to happen. I posted this in our Facebook page that Tomorrow's Legends is going to have ads as part of our show going forward now. It's just a way for us to bring in a little bit more revenue to help pay for operating costs because, prices are going up on everything and we need to cover the show a little bit. So you heard it last week in our first Flash episode. There's ads in the front and in the middle and at the end of the episode. That's just something we have to deal with going forward. Most podcasts that you listen to have ads in them nowadays, so we're going to try to figure out a way to make a clean break, and I had thought in front of the favorite scenes is going to be the best spot because you listen to the two ads and you come back looking forward to, hey, the favorite scenes section, which is quite often people's favorite scenes. So we're going to just say we're going to pause now for a second to listen to the ads, and when we come back, it'll be favorite scenes. And just like that, we are back. So let's get into favorite scenes.
Shape out and eagle!
All right, Mr. Vox, you start us off tonight.
All right. So yeah, we've danced around it quite a bit. Pun intended there. That'll be coming up later. But yeah, mine was Snow and Hartley coming to terms with choices that we make about who and what our character is going to be, and sometimes that's based on the people that we love, and sometimes it's based on just who we want to be. And we've all, been in relationships where either we've tried to change that person or we have tried to change to accommodate something that we feel like they want or need from us. And so I thought this was a really poignant moment. And we also talked about it too, that is this for Hartley or is this for Snow? And so anyway, let's play it.
Okay. I'm going to make this easy. Do you have any of Caitlyn Snow's medical knowledge?
No.
No, okay. Can you shoot ice from your hands or eyes? Either is acceptable.
No.
No, then you can't help me. And therefore, you are useless. So please, leave me alone.
You shouldn't be working right now. Or angrily asking people weird questions. It's disturbing.
I have to finish this.
Are you scared that person will find you? Because I'm sure Barry and the others have...
I have to get out of here, okay? If I don't...
You're not afraid of getting hurt. You're afraid of someone else getting hurt. You think they're in danger.
And that is why I have to finish these. So I can keep him safe. The only way that I can.
You're going to kill the punk witch? Oh no, killing is wrong.
And Central City has more meta-violence per capita than any other city in the world.
You're not a killer, I can tell.
You don't know me.
Actually, and I can say this quite truthfully, I think I know you better than I know myself.
Look, I used to be a metacriminal, a rogue, as they say. Used to hurt people all the time, and I enjoyed it.
What changed you?
Oh, Roderick, okay? Roderick.
You changed to keep him safe? That's beautiful. But that's not real change, is it? Deciding to change for the person you love doesn't mean you've decided who you want to be. That's a choice you still have to make for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Good stuff. I agree. I like that one a whole lot too, because I think until you decide who you want to be, then it's going to be hard for you to to be in a solid relationship. So yeah, I like what she's saying there. So
yeah, and that for me, I just like that was the stuff showing Danielle playing a new character, and this is where I thought she did really, really well. It didn't sound like Frost, it didn't sound like Caitlyn, But like you guys were saying earlier in our discussion, like she was just born essentially, and she's so intuitive. She's reading people like she almost has psychic abilities. Like she's just able to pick up on people's truths and what's really going on with them. So I wonder if that's something that's going to develop more with her.
Or maybe, I was just thinking about it, maybe she's so new and fresh that she's just mirroring what she's seeing.
Yeah.
As far as emotions, I don't know. So.
Yeah, kind of faith like a child.
Yeah.
Type of arrangement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. Mr. Jeff.
I'm up next. I call this one Conversation Over Coffee, and so let's take a listen and then talk about it.
Well, the sun is shining, and we made it through the week.
And in one piece at that.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's hard to believe that we'll never see Caitlyn or Frost again, I am happy for Khione.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why I keep telling myself that Frost chose to become Hellfrost and fight Deathstorm, just like Caitlyn chose to go into the CRC. And now Khione's made her choice, too.
Yeah. Is it crazy to think that this new version of Caitlyn is what she would have wanted all along?
No, not at all. I think she'd like her.
So? Got any weekend plans?
Actually, I was thinking we could take in a geyser.
No. This is not what Caitlyn wanted. This it's not, and that's the tragedy out of all this to me. It's just like Caitlyn wants to be Caitlyn. She wanted Frost because Frost had been inside her head her whole entire life. She didn't want this.
And then when she was separated, she gained a sister. So like I fully understand, like, you know, this person that's been inside your head this whole time now has got a body. I've got a sister, you know.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. So maybe it's what Thomas maybe originally wanted. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the aspect of this conversation that I really appreciated is just getting to see the daily life of these two, of them debriefing after a day and a natural conversation and going over everything and it not feeling like forced and that kind of stuff. I just appreciate that we're getting again to seeing this relationship getting built. You know, it should have been done way sooner, but like I like these little moments of getting to see their marriage and then working on that together. So that's why I like it.
100%.
So,
yes, indeed. Well, 2 weeks in a row, I am going with the comedy out of the episode. Because that's what I found I enjoyed the most on this one. And you're thinking, comedy? Where was comedy? Well, the last 2 minutes of the episode, that whole dance sequence was just fun. Now, I can't play the clip, the initial dance sequence, but I just wanted to talk about it. I loved when they're all dancing and Snow was like, wow, Cecilia, you're a really good dancer. Unlike Joe over there, Mr. Stand by the Bar waving. Like, they're just having fun. And then Barry's dancing, and he's dancing like he thinks he knows what he's doing, but he's really not the greatest dancer. And Iris is just like, anyway.
This is the guy I married.
Yeah. I enjoyed that whole sequence, but then the credits start to roll, and then we get a quick added outtake clip. And
that was hilarious.
That was hilarious, because if you listen closely, there's the shot of Snow. She's like, oh, and Barry's the Flash. He's like, no, I'm not. And that's the clip I went with, so here it is, because that just made me burst out laughing. After an episode that I was going, not so great, this moment got me, so here it is.
Don't kill my vibe, I'm flawless by design.
Look at me, look at me.
Yeah, you got it.
Nobody else has these moves.
That's not really. I love dancing. He's the Flash.
Nope. No.
Just kidding.
It was just so funny.
Yeah.
But did you notice how much was Caitlyn? I mean, was Snow standing on a platform? Because you look at the height difference between her and Cecile.
No. Yeah.
That was like, it was like, wow.
And their scene together, that's like my eyes were glued on that because Danielle is like, she's a giant compared to Miss Nicolette. Yeah, I mean, it was just it's like, wow. No, but Martin, I was telling Jeff before we turned on the mics tonight that Alec, my son, and I are going through Arrow because he's never seen it.
Oh wow!
And so we watched the 2 episodes last night of Grant's introduction. Right, as Barry Allen, in season 2, and Barry says to Felicity, "Okay, we're going to this party, but there's not going to be dancing, right? Because I don't do that." I was like, "Wow, they've been really consistent with that."
With the because Grant Gustin came from that. What's that musical show? The
Glee.
Yes. So yeah, which is kind of funny. Yeah. Well. I think the actress that plays Cecile is really short because she's short next to Joe as well. But I met Danielle Panabaker. I've got a picture of me with her, and she's my height. Like I'm standing right beside her, and we're the same height. So she might have maybe half an inch or something. I'm gonna have to pull that picture up to look exactly. And she wasn't in high heels or anything. She was just in running shoes. So that 5'8", 5'9" is she's not that much of a monster. She's average height. So it's interesting. If they did put her up, if she was on a different level on the dance floor, or Cecile is just tiny, 5'2" tiny. I don't know. We'll have to look that up in the IMDb credits or something or whatever.
I'll look it up. So.
Yeah. All right, it's time to get to Cougar's Comic Corner. And we've got a voicemail from Justina telling us exactly what she's got for us this week.
Okay, here we go. Cougar's Comic Corner Flash Edition. You know how they say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover? Well, that is true, but it was first the cover that brought me to this book because it has an amazingly compelling cover. And in the upcoming Flash film, which, never fear, Dive into DC is going to dive into many Flash topics related to the film and comics as we get closer to the release date. But I wanted to share this one here because we know the movie is going to feature a Flashpoint, and this is the latest incarnation of Flashpoint called Flashpoint Beyond. And this is the world of Flashpoint returns. After sacrificing everything to help the Flash put the universe back together and save Bruce Wayne's wife, Thomas Wayne wakes up in a world that he thought no longer exists. Forced to don the cowl once again, Batman prowls the streets of Gotham, searching for answers of how the world still exists. But what he starts to uncover will send him hurtling around the globe. The hunt for the Clockwork Killer begins for Batman in Europe, and he becomes face to face with a mad King Aquaman. On the eve of Aquaman's sinking of London, Batman infiltrates his stronghold and goes on the warpath for answers. Nothing matters to Batman, whose world is already dead. But if he can track down the Clockwork Killer, Thomas can save his son's world and put everything back together again. This is written by Jeff Johns and was originally released on December 22nd, 2022, and is available on Comixology for $9.99, and it just looks like a compelling story, so I wanted to share it here. Have a super week, everyone.
I have to check this out because Flashpoint is probably one of the best comic stories I've ever read. I think it's my favorite Flash story, and when they converted that into the animated movie, which I offered,
animated movie is amazing.
I offered for you guys to dive into DC, because that is, and it's not because I like the Flash. It's just that story was so shockingly different from what we're used to seeing our characters. When Wonder Woman and Aquaman are evil and they're fighting each other, and they just kill people, civilians included, like they just don't care. And there's no such, Superman doesn't exist because he didn't land in Smallville. He landed in the middle of the city, and the government got a hold of him. And he's this skinny little weakling that they keep in the dark, so he doesn't get any power. And Batman isn't Bruce Wayne. It's his dad instead. Like this whole Flashpoint story is just shocks you with what's going on and the violence of it, and it just stretched the imaginations and the boundaries of what a cartoon movie can do. And I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for you guys to get into it. I hope you guys cover it sometime.
We'll definitely do it before the Flash movie comes out. Yeah, for sure.
The fact that they continued the story of Flashpoint Beyond, I have not read this, so I got to go find it and check it out for sure.
Yeah, it looks good. The artwork looks pretty good too. So
Yep. Thank you, Justina.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so X-Force did a little digging while that was playing on the actual heights of the actresses.
Yeah. So Miss Nicolette is 5'0".
Oh, jeez.
and she was a gymnast as a young girl. And Panna Baker is 5'6", so half a foot difference between the two of them.
And if she's wearing any type of platforms or heels, she must have been. Maybe she was. I'll have to look at the picture, maybe, because she's pretty much same height as me. So I'll pull that picture up and show you guys. Cool. But yes, thank you, Justina, for that fantastic stuff. It is time for you guys to find out how you can support the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
This is for you, Jeff.
Don't hide all night and day and wish that you could have your say. The time is now for you to take the floor. Top up your drink and find your nerve. Get the attention that you deserve. But keep it quick, we've no patience for a bore.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your chance to step up into the spotlight and tell us what you think. Here they are, ready to listen to your feedback or show you the door. The Flash, Harley Quinn, and X-Force 11.
I can't believe you got Dan to sing that.
I gave him free rein. I said, Dan, we need some jingles to transition into our feedback, and he's just like, all right, and he went. That's all his creation.
And from the Legend season in the 20s, the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a full-on entertainer. His basement is a studio, and he's got 2 keyboards in his recording studio, and he just has a blast. And all the voices you hear, that's all him. He changes the woman's voice, the backup singer's voice. He does all of it. The guy's talented.
Fantastic.
All right. Let's get into our feedback. Our first feedback is an email from Tails, who we haven't heard from in a while. And she says, "Hey, Legendaires, I figured I would send in some feedback for The Flash. I've decided to follow on for this season since it's the last for the Arrowverse. I will admit that my previous knowledge of this show only goes to about halfway through season 3 and all of the crossover events. This episode gave me serious 90s vibes between the Tuvix-like storyline from Star Trek Voyager and the outtakes reel running over the credits." Wow, okay, yeah, I haven't seen that for a while.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Villain of the Week storyline with bringing back Hartley, a random character I actually recognize, and the Fiddler, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this progresses over the season. Although it does irk me a bit that the new Captain Boomerang isn't Australian. Yes, because that's where Tails is. I'm curious to see how this new character, Khione, is going to pan out. With this being the last season, I would be surprised if we don't see at least Caitlyn back at some point. The team's reaction to both her and Killer Frost being dead was entirely way less dramatic than I believe it would be if they were actually gone. Overall, I give the episode 6.5 blue hair extensions out of 10. Looking forward to the podcast. Tails. Nice. She's close to me on the feelings there, and I actually agree with her. Like, they have to bring Caitlyn back, I think, by that. I don't think they can run out the Flash without Caitlyn being there.
Yeah.
We'll
I agree.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. Good to hear from you again, Tails. Been a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Green Butterfly, once again, with her voice feedback.
Hi, this is your eye in the sky, Green Butterfly. I really enjoyed this episode, although it left me confused much of the time. I don't really understand the powers given to the Fiddler, and I don't understand Hartley's gauntlets all that well. But I thought it led to some cool, visually spectacular scenes, though I was quite a confused butterfly as to exactly the extent of both of their powers. I really, really enjoy that we are not going back into that machine and choosing whether we want Frost back or Caitlyn back. Caitlyn went into that machine knowing that there was a chance that she was never going to come out again. And I'm really hoping that we are getting something similar to what it looked like her father was going for when he couldn't choose between Caitlyn and Frost because he was falling in love with both his daughter by birth and his creation. So I'm hoping that this new Snow character will be a beautiful amalgamation of all three characters, and in this final season we will get to explore and grow with her and just get to know her. And I was immediately taken back to Sarah Lance coming out of the Lazarus pit and being a blank slate, which is why she was renamed the White Canary. I really think that we're experiencing this again with this Snow character, and I think it will be a fun character study in this final season, and I'm so glad that it's not just a choice between Frost or Caitlyn, because the story has done such a great job making us fall in love with both of those characters, and I have no doubt that we will find things to love about Snow. So I'm glad that we're not in for sacrifice now that the chamber is broken. The dance moves in this episode gave me such joy. This is the type of things that I was missing from The Flash, and that's The Flash getting together and spending a little bit of time in the episode just having fun and just taking a moment to be a family. And I just smiled so much while they were all at that club dancing. All in all, I give this episode 8 out of 10 fabulous dance moves. I gotta fly. Have a super week.
And she liked my clip the best, I would say.
Yep.
Good stuff, Green Butterfly. Hopefully we'll get you on the show with us sometime soon.
Yeah. All right, next up is Bianca. I wanted to like this episode. I really did. The only good part of the episode were the little outtakes of the dance club at the end.
Oh, I'm 2 for 2. Woo.
Hartley's inclusion into the storyline didn't make much sense and probably won't until later. Allegra and Chester. What the heck? I'm still getting weird vibes from the Joe Cecile situation. I said last week if Cecile decides not to go with Joe, I'm going to be ticked off. what happened between them this week doesn't make me feel confident about them leaving together. The new Fiddler, meh. She's about as entertaining as the new Captain Boomerang last week. I'm calling shenanigans on her, though. She had a sonic scream. It sounded like Dinah's scream, too.
Yeah.
We finally get to see Red Death, unblurred, and it doesn't look too bad. However, when they said Central City, the Flash disgraced me, you will pay the price. I'm sorry, what? Sigh. I'm giving this episode 4 out of 10 disappointed looks on Chester's face. Till next week, Bianca.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was ready to go for it, and Allegra he just kind of agreed to what she was saying.
Yeah.
Yep. Ouch, Bianca. I understand what you're feeling there for sure, but I did like Captain Boomerang. That's the only thing I can disagree with you. I did like the new Captain Boomerang, but because I like that actor. He's a good bad guy. But yeah, don't you take Dinah's scream? How dare you? All right.
Alrighty. Finally, we have Mr. Perry White. Hey, Speed Demons, Perry White here with feedback for the Flash episode. Hear no evil. I'm sending in an email because the voice is a bit scratchy. That's okay, Perry. Mine is too. So, let me get my rating out of the way. From start to finish, I gave this episode a solid 7.5. Fiddlers fooling around with fiddles out of 10. The best thing about this episode, in my opinion, was that everyone seemed to be acting like adults. Yeah, I can give you that. They realize that it's not a flex for most shows, but for The Flash, that's a big deal, because more often than not, I'm lamenting the fact that characters are spending too much time acting like kids.
Good point.
I like that Barry didn't just blow up at Blaine, and that they had a good moment together over a beer. I like that Joe and Cecile confronted their differences head-on without actually butting heads. I like that even though Allegra and Chester or Iris and Barry didn't see eye to eye on the Caitlyn versus Frost question, neither of them resorted to emotional outbursts, but rather had adult conversations about their points of view. We should all learn from this. And I really loved that Barry and everyone came to the conclusion that there was there all along. It was ultimately up to Khione to decide her own fate. By the way, I know where the name Khione comes from, but I still prefer Sleet. One of the last things I love is that Daniel Panabaker gets to portray a character that doesn't have the sad sack storyline that Caitlyn has been saddled with, or the baggage that comes along with Frost. It's nice to see her take on something wholly new. By the way, I get the feeling that this new character is incredibly empathetic, with an ability to demonstrate her emotional state through the manipulation of weather, or something, because the storm throughout the entire episode felt entirely eerie and hypnotic, like it wasn't natural. Okay, so here's what I didn't appreciate as much. The show obviously put a lot of time and money into the club scene and the extras that were included. I totally forgot who the Pied Piper was. During his first scene, all I could think was, why are they focusing this much time on this character that looks strangely like a mix of Hartley Sawyer and Tom Holland? Thanks to Bianca on Facebook, I realized that he was the Pied Piper. Honestly, I could say I was never interested in this character, and I was dismayed that he took up so much screen time. He just seemed whiny, and I was done with him. Or as the episode would have said, bored. Going to sleep now. In my opinion, they could have used a better former rogue in this situation. Or we could just get to Red Death much sooner in a season that only has 13 or so episodes. I'm really interested to know why this version of Red Death hates Barry so much. I'd rather get to that revelation rather than wasting more time with a rogue and the freaking Fiddler. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Sorry I couldn't offer a voicemail, but the voice is no goo. Until next time, this is Perry White making another deadline. I'm out.
Just so you know, Perry, I can totally hear your voice saying, the freaking Fiddler. Like I can hear you say that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good thoughts as always. So it seems like overall there's a little bit of a lower appreciation for this episode this week.
Yeah, this was definitely a letdown from the premiere.
Yeah. So let's hope for something better next week. Going forward.
Yes.
All right. So the rest of you guys out there, if you want to be part of the show and get your thoughts in on The Flash for the rest of Season 9, this is what you have to do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
And that wraps us for Flash. This is episode 2 of season 9 for tonight. So what is going on for the rest of us? Well, I released a Cybercast episode last night, guys. I don't know if any of you follow Cybercast, but it's been a long time. That poor show has been sitting on the shelf collecting dust. But I got together with Mr. You guys would know him as D. Vizsla from the Mandalore podcast. He came on as David himself. We talked about Magnum P.I.
Nice.
Because Magnum P.I., the new iteration, is premiering this Sunday with their season 5 on the new network. I think they're on CBS now. And so I thought it'd be a perfect time to debate and discuss which was better between the old Magnum and the new Magnum. So we just get into all the characters and what's different about the shows and what's similar. What did they keep? And it's fun. It was fun to talk about Magnum for a couple hours. So check that out. And then, of course, we got the Mandalore this Sunday to discuss the Bad Batch episode. Was it episode 6 that we watched, or was it episode 7? Jeez, I can't remember now.
It was 9.
Am I that? Holy cow, I'm off.
Wow.
So, that's right, because we got the double episodes. So yeah, I'm way off the count. Anyway, the latest Bad Batch episode. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll be discussing that on Sunday. So that's what we got coming. How about you guys?
Awesome. If you want to check us out over on Dive Into DC podcast, in this month of February, we are looking at the podcast audio dramas for Batman Unburied, and then this coming Tuesday we're going to be talking about Harley Quinn and the Joker Sound Mind. And so we're going over those podcast formats. And then in the month of March, we're going to be talking Shazam as we look at the first Shazam film. Ooh. And then that leads us up to the premiere of Shazam Fury of the Gods in theaters on March 17th. So be looking out for ways to get your feedback into us there at diveintodc@gmail.com to be part of our show.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, sounds like a lot. You guys have a lot on your plate coming up. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. You're racking up the numbers. You're going to hit 100 episodes in no time.
No doubt.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Well, that's all we got for tonight. So everybody have a good weekend. It's a long weekend up here in Canada. It's Family Day on Monday. So everybody have a good long weekend. That is Canadian listeners. This is The Flash signing off.
Silvervox, and I am out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive Into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.